says that I'm a finisher, not a starter. So
yeah. Aren't we all?
Would you know the name that I share with my cousin? Wouldn't be the same if we weren't really cousins. Podcast is strong. Check out our Patreon, 'cause you know he ain't my bro. We are cousins.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you know my name
Nope.
if I saw you in heaven? Something like
It's
that.
like Tears in Heaven.
Tears in Heaven?
Yep.
By oh shit. It's
Thank you, Aussie Nate.
hang on, it's what's his name?
He's pretty famous.
I know. And he has the daughter that was in with
I have no idea what you're talking about.
or maybe I'm wrong with that. I was thinking, okay, well, who is it?
Eric Clapton.
Oh, never mind. No,
Yeah,
I was
were
thinking.
you thinking like
What's his name? The other guy that I was thinking.
Aerosmith guy?
No.
No. All right.
That had that with Paris Hilton, her best friend, and then what is his name?
I'm glad that we don't talk about this like magic. Like, what the fuck cars are we talking about?
No, fuck. No.
Helm of the Host is the best guess.
Fuck. I'm pissed that I don't. I'm blanking on
The thing is I can't start this because you always start it.
I know.
So you can drag this on as long as you want.
I know, because I'm trying to remember, but.
Welcome to the CommanderSmiths.
Welcome to the CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We are cousins.
I'm going to fucking remember the name of that goddamn.
I highly doubt it.
It's Richie. Richie
Rich?
No.
That's like a comic book character with like a bad movie from the 90s.
I don't think I can move forward without remembering his name.
Oh, my goodness.
He sings other songs. Okay, anyways. So this is episode 64. What are we... I know he sings other songs. God damn.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Mythic Edition Debacle, a.k.a. The Shit Show.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
Yeah. And then we will go over Commander Spotlight.
So
I built
it's
Oketra.
Oketra, we kind of talked about that last week. Then we have just the tips segment because Lowry came across some cards that he might jump into the eBay world.
Yeah, I might start selling along with wishing that I had gotten Mythic Edition.
Yeah.
Like I was
That's
all
the other
pumped and
part of
ready
it.
to
Yeah.
go. Now I'm kind of little, but...
So this is going to be... And actually had some other... Like Tyson actually is asking about like how to whatever sell cards, ship cards, all that
so
stuff.
It's good to kind of go over it. I think we did it maybe
we
a
did
year
talk
ago
about
or
this
something.
in the fall about shipping specifically, but this time I'm going to go more into specific like your eBay listing, like how to actually list it on there to make it stand out from others and everything like that. So I'm going to give kind of some tips there to you, Lowry. And
Yeah,
our
I would
listeners.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
And then we finish off with our specs of the week like we normally do. So,
but first,
you were just reading off of what I had on there. I was like,
it's great.
It's not a script. I was just kind of like,
it's great. No,
so we got a new patron this week. What is
Nathaniel Leonard?
Nathaniel, thank you for donating. I know I don't have it in the order. I just started writing it.
No, this needs to go in order.
No, because I didn't want to scratch it out and then write it.
I'm
like
Lowry Smith. Ron Burgundy.
But one thing we did want to mention is we did have the April drawing. We wanted to do the April drawing, I should say.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. What? Oh, yeah, the YouTube ones, yes.
Is that what we're talking about?
No.
Why aren't you in order?
You're now concerned with that. And I'm still trying to think of Richie. Fuck, what is his name?
Nobody cares.
Lionel
Literally
Richie. Fuck, that's what it was. Lionel Richie. That's what I was thinking of. And then he had a daughter who is best friends with... who did I say?
Nicole Richie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his daughter was best friends with Paris Hilton. So that's where that whole... I knew I'd figure it out. Now I can move on.
Oh, Jesus.
And then you go back to the... No, I'm Adam, not Jesus. But I go back to the beginning of that. That's who I thought the song was and all that. Okay. Richie. See, I had the Richie part.
Yeah, no, you nailed it.
All right, back to our patron. Nathaniel, thank you for... donating,
being a patron.
the patron. But then the YouTube, we got to do a drawing. Each month we're going to do a drawing with how many listeners we have. We're just going to pick a random number. Actually, Siri is going to do it, so let's do that right now. I got to take my
interesting question.
Hey Siri, pick a number between 1. Oh, she's not even listening. You little bastard.
Yeah, well.
Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 101.
That would be 84.
All right, so number 84, we'll let you guys know on our
We
list.
will reach out to you.
Reach
and
out
if
to
you
84.
don't, you got 48 hours to respond. Then we're moving on.
Or the bus explodes. I don't know.
That's a
Speed.
movie. Yeah. Keanu
Lionel
Reeves.
Richie.
That one guy. Reeves.
Reeves.
I forgot his
Reeves Witherspoon.
You know why Siri wasn't listening? Because you kept on talking about Lionel Richie. And she got bored.
No.
Turned off the podcast. And then
Hey,
she
we
has
can
the
move
power.
on now that I know that part.
Okay.
It was bothering the crap
Can we
out
move
of
on,
me.
please?
And then we also are going to get our proxies out at the end of this week.
we
Larry
miscommunicated.
didn't bring his stuff, and I've been moving, and
this is
so
my
I
fault.
didn't. No, normally I was actually going to give Lowry the cards, and then he just takes them home and mails them. And I didn't have my cards ready, so we will get those out later
Failure on
this
both
week.
ends.
no, because that's what I did
Mostly
last
Adams,
week.
though.
Well, this is our last episode in my basement. And
Maybe.
it might be a little
Maybe.
more
We might do
echoey
next
than
week.
normal because we have nothing in here besides. Well, actually, Larry put up some nice pads in the back, so we don't have
It was
our
awful.
sound bouncing off the walls. So
But yeah, YouTube, if you want to go subscribe, I'm sure we're going to do the
Yep,
drawing
we'll do it for
next
May.
month again.
we'll just go off of how many people we have on there, and we'll just do a random number. Like we'll let
out of
Siri.
it. And 84, if you don't get a chance after this, it's over.
Yeah, 84.
Whatever, whoever you are, 84.
You're dead to me, 84.
I don't know if that's it's a little much.
It'll be funny if it's actually a person that subscribes that watched one of the other videos, like how to make proxies.
Yeah, and they
so
have
they
no
have
idea
nothing
what's
to do with
going on.
magic. They're like, why are you contacting me?
Leave me alone.
But yeah, go on YouTube on there, subscribe, like our stuff.
Follow
Also
us on Twitter if you want to check out the proxies that Adam makes throughout the
or
week,
Lowry
month.
drinks. Oh, speaking of
Yeah. Oh, we
stuff
didn't
that
even
you
open this.
don't share with me, how about
But
stuff
right
you
now,
do share with me?
Sharing with you.
Sharing is caring.
Cheers.
Thanks, Larry.
So
What is
this
it?
one's called Bounce, Bounce, Clap, Clap
It has a skeleton on it.
by the Brewing Project. It's a sour milkshake IPA with raspberry and lemon puree. And I already had one. It's tasty.
That is really. It's like, yeah. You said lemon in it.
Yeah, lemon and raspberry puree.
Oh yeah, you can totally taste that.
Yeah. It's very
It's pretty
tasty.
good. That's pretty good.
Good job.
All right, so that's our Twitter stuff. Follow us on there. Those are your
You can
proxies
always
of the week.
email us at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com
Yep.
about anything you want to talk about or ideas, because we are running out of ideas.
I don't think we are actually.
No, we have.
Yeah, we could have done 2 or 3 episodes tonight, but
We could triple cast if we want.
but Game of Thrones kind of
Game of Thrones.
more nudes made it a later night, and then also trying to get our sound check stuff going. But anyways, that's the long and short. Let's move into the actual effing episode. Let's start getting pissed off.
For the shit show.
So Mythic Edition
I did decide to try and get it.
3 happened this week.
I just want to say the Besh talked me into it. He donated his $5
Yeah,
a Patreon towards me, so I will take that. Thank you.
But
Even though
then
I
you're not
failed.
putting it towards. Well, okay, it's not for a lack of trying, is what. So,
For those of you who didn't try,
oh my gosh, I want to know if any of our listeners got one.
yeah, that'd be great. If you Twitter at us and let us
Twitter
know,
or
email,
comment on YouTube or
percentage.
email. Yeah,
That'd be great because
and actually, if you did try to get one, I'd like to hear that too, because I do want to hear how many of people. Like, it seemed like on Twitter, everybody, like, it didn't seem like anybody got them except for a few select people are like, oh yeah, I got one. But for the most part, I've seen everybody's like, nope, didn't get it.
So there's only 12,000 units apparently that are going to
Which
go out.
was so fucking weird that they even said that in the first place.
That's a good.
I
mean,
don't
yeah.
get. We were discussing it beforehand. And I was like, they never tell how much they have, or
Sure.
very rarely do they tell you we have X amount of inventory on this one. They straight up said weeks
There's
before
12,000.
there's 12,000. What do you fucking think's gonna
get
happen?
your wallets ready. Well, I mean, this is also classic Wizards in they overprint like Mythic Edition 2
because one sold out so quick.
Yeah, one was very popular, but they did it at the Hasbro store, which couldn't handle the load and so on. They switched over to eBay and print more of a shittier set, and then on this they print the least amount, and it's the best one. Like, I don't think they understand any type of economics with their cards.
The
Mythic Edition 2 was straight not good.
Yeah, well,
and then this is
I wouldn't say
bonkers.
Straight not good. I'm making some money off of it.
Below
compared. Okay, Mythic Edition 3 is number 1.
I mean, it has Ugin, Jace.
Number 1 is the second, and then 3. Yes, 3 is definitely the worst.
Mythic Edition 1 kind of tickled me. I was like, I might do that, but I know this is going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
I knew this one was going to be a shit show, but it's ridiculously, like, the value
was ridiculous. Especially, the reprint value, whereas Mythic Edition 1 was more on Teferi's being used in Standard and in other formats, and that's the driver, where this was Jace and Ugin are used.
You had Liliana as well.
Though. Oh, yeah, Liliana was
in
pretty
that
good,
one.
yeah.
And so you had 2 big ones there. 2 huge ones in Mythic Edition 3, and then
2 just was
nothing
like,
in 2.
We were hoping Karn would be big, but it isn't, which everybody thought Karn was going to be big. Yeah, it just...
So essentially, like, going through the process, like, me and you at our separate houses, like, sitting there waiting for it to turn 2 o'clock.
So I sent you out a text. I sent Tyson out a text, and I was like, I should send you both out. We should all be on the same thing. And then actually, like 2 minutes before it happened, Tyson called and was like, hey, I just want to make sure I'm in the right spot, blah, blah, blah. Because my eBay was timing out, which means it's a warning right there that there's too many people on the site, so it was crashing.
I guess I didn't know that was the meaning.
Yeah, so that's why Tyson called me initially. It was like, is yours timing out? I was like, yeah, every time I'm refreshing it, it's timing out. Like, I'd do a search, and it'd be on for like 3 seconds, and then it'd say timeout.
Yeah.
So what it's telling you is that there's too many people already trying to do the same thing. So I was like, okay, this is going to be fucking crazy.
And it was crazy.
Within seconds after it came on, you could see
the Hasbro eBay store crashed.
Yeah,
straight crashed. Like, it was just like, oops, something went wrong.
So then you had to go back and refresh it. It was different though, like, because I was trying to buy multiple, like, in the fantasy world of how Mythic Edition 2 was. I was going to buy as many copies as I could. Like, I was trying to buy 6 copies if I could get it. You know, I was going to have Cindy's iPad going. I had mine. My neighbor, I was going to go over to his house. You know, I had that much time with Mythic Edition 2. With this, I just had that. I mentioned it last week, 5 minutes. I backed off my claim. I was like, this is going to be sold in 5 minutes. And
it was essentially sold out in 3 minutes.
3 minutes is what we figured.
Roughly.
Yeah. So how did it go for you? Because with... ours,
my side's a shit show. Like, so I wasn't even. I decided that day that I was going to get on, and so embarrassingly, I wasn't actually even signed into my account. And so once I got the order, got everything, I was like, "Hey, you need to sign in." I'm like, "Fuck, I don't even know my password." I always go through like TCG Player, so I had to like refresh it. They texted me like my password.
Oh, I didn't know you went through all that shit.
And then I still made it back.
Yeah.
Like, I did all that stuff in about 3 minutes, and when I got on there, it stated 5,000 had been sold. And I was like, okay, cool, boom. And then it wouldn't let me. Try it again. Wouldn't let me. Try it again.
Was it doing the credit card error for you?
Yeah.
Or the address? Because I've had the multiples with this.
It was telling me credit card
issue.
And I was just like, what? I barely have enough money, but I do. And so eventually, like, it just said sold
shingles
out.
Bills.
It said, it said 12,000 sold, and I was like, well, I'm done, and just kind of like went back to paying bills.
So in that first batch, so yes, if you didn't get on this, there was multiple batches that this goes through here. So I was on the phone with Tyson. It went live. I had my wife's iPad going. I was actually able to get through, and that was the first one that completed the order. Out of me and Tyson and Cindy's iPad, that one went through. My computer crashed. Well, not my computer. eBay crashed on the computer side. So I got Cindy's to go through, and I was like, sweet. All right, now focus on the computer. In the meantime, I think Tyson's went through, and at that point it said 6,000 had sold. And that was within the first 30 seconds to a minute was 6,000 had sold. Then Tyson's went through. Then mine went through, so I got both of them. I'm like, awesome. And I started texting you. I was like, you getting it? You're like, I do remember you saying, you're like, I just
I messed up.
I was just like, what? Okay. But then Cindy texted me in the meantime. She's like, oh, Wells Fargo contacted me, and they're like, there might be a fraud that's happening. I was like, no, accept that. Don't cancel that. And so then I was going to refresh hers, and somehow I like came across it where I was like looking at the Wells Fargo transaction, and I could see it on the Wells Fargo transaction, and then there was a reversal right after it. And I was like, what the fuck? It just took it away. So I went and looked at her eBay page, like to show what you purchased, and it was no longer there. And I was like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on? So then I go back to mine, and mine had it on the page originally, because I did that with both of them to make sure, hey, I purchased it. I refreshed it, and it disappeared. Like, it never went through. And I was like, oh, what the fuck is going on? So then I go to PayPal, because that's what my account's connected to. Never even showed a transaction, was through PayPal. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? This sucks. And so at that point, it showed it was sold out, 12,000. So now we're at the same spot, all of us. And Tyson, his went through, and then I was telling him, I was like, hey, mine reversed. Did yours reverse? And then he checked his, same thing. So all three of ours got reversed. The ones that went through, yours didn't go through.
Yep. And
so
then I just was like, okay, well,
I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pissed
attitude.
at that point. And I'm like, why the fuck didn't it work? And I'm all sitting there, and I'm like refreshing it, and then I see the numbers start going above 12,000, and I was like, what? So then I like click on it,
and this is the same thing that happened on Mythic Edition 2, though. They had like 12,000 units stated on their eBay. They didn't specifically.
They accidentally showed, I think it was 18,000.
But yeah.
Accidentally, when people were buying,
it, like, started going up. Oh, maybe.
No. Mythic Edition 2 didn't do that, because they accidentally showed 18,000. They pulled it off because they didn't show 18,000. What happened was it showing how many was left.
Yeah.
And they didn't want people knowing that, so then they pulled it and put it back on, and then that
reset numbers. Yeah.
So all of a sudden the number started getting over 12,000, and then I was able to actually put the number in my cart, and I was able to put it in my cart, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I was like, I'll try and check out, and then it checked out, and I was like, holy shit. So then I text Tyson and Lowry. I was like, it's back on. For some reason, they're going above 12,000. So then you jumped on. Tyson jumped on.
My card didn't work again, so I was like, fuck it. I went to the business card, which I don't really want to use because this isn't business.
Yeah.
So clearly, we got a call about a fraud. And that I am not the primary number there. So me and my dad run a business together with management. And so he gets the call. And he doesn't know what's going on, clearly, because I was just like, I sent him a text right after. I was like, hey, I owe the business money here.
So don't cancel that, please.
He doesn't read my texts. But it didn't get canceled or anything, because he called me up and he's like, what's going on? And
so you were able to get it on the second round.
And so, yeah, confirmed, everything was good to go.
So then I was able to get it on the second round with both the accounts. I think Tyson missed out on the second round of them, because then what happened was he was trying to click 2, because originally it has it in your thing as 1, and they clicked 2 and it had to refresh, and in that time it sold out again within seconds. That was even faster than the first one. That one sold out within 45 seconds.
And this is like 15 minutes after the first wave,
maybe at the
most.
That's
when I think I hopped.
When you hopped on, okay.
Yeah.
So I was at that point, an hour went by for me. It felt like 3 minutes.
It was so fast.
So, because I was just like, getting pissed, whatever. Then it hit the max at 24. So you could tell it was doing in increments of 12. 12,000, 12,000.
Yeah, specifically after, I remember stating 24,000 units sold.
Yeah, and then it was sold out. Okay.
No, this is same thing as you. Like something wrong is going
Yeah.
on. Hopefully, I get mine.
And then all of a sudden it starts going over 24,000. And then that's when I text Tyson again. I was like, it's still going. Get back on there. So instead of Tyson putting in 2, he put in 1 and he bought 1 and it went through. And then he put on 1 again because he was thinking that was wasting time to put the 2 in. That's
Sure. And actually, I was thinking that's not a bad technique when it's kind of happening like this, because it creates it. It creates, if they're canceling like they did, there's 2 chances that you have
one of them that
might make it.
Yeah. So, we didn't know the cancellation. I didn't know that this shit was going to happen. So Tyson gets through with 2 of them, 2 separate orders, and everything's all good. But you look on eBay and it shows you how many have sold, and it's at, the last I saw was at 45,000.
And I think I heard or saw comments on Twitter of people saying it was over 60,000.
Which, remember, they said 12,000. And also, did you notice the views per hour that were on there? In 1 hour, and there was an hour I was totally on there. It had 350,000 people viewed that item. So
that's crazy.
It's fucking insane. So walk away from him like, all right, hey, all of us got our boxes. Well,
we were wrong.
Yep, very wrong. So the next day comes in and I keep checking, and they actually left me feedback. I don't know if they did that for you on yours. So they left me feedback on mine. Like they gave me a positive
I clearly
rating.
don't know how to use eBay well enough. So
I was like, okay, they've gone that far. But I remember Mythic Edition 2, they had it shipped the next day. And I was like, they're not shipping it. And they're not shipping it. And so then I text Lowry. I was like, hey, did yours get shipped yet? Like, no, mine didn't get shipped yet. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, I think they're canceling because I just saw, because then actually I saw a tweet from the Proxy guy.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
And he's like, shit, my order just got fucking canceled, and then they haven't even given me my money, and I didn't.
Yeah,
he said he requested the cancel is what his said or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, I did not do that.
Yeah. And so then that's when I was like, hey, Lowry, this, if it comes down to we only have 2 boxes, let's just split it. It's like, I'm not even going for profit.
You were making the bet, and I was like, yes, I agree with this. I definitely agree with this.
And then within minutes, Lowry's like, mine's canceled.
I was like, this definitely looks like I was like already canceled. I hadn't told you when you made the bet.
So I was like, oh, dang, now I'm going to get these 2 boxes. I'm going to have to give one to Lowry for free pretty much because it's $250.
My wife had no idea what was going on. She was just like, what are you doing? And I was like, craziness is happening.
So nothing happened not until later that night. And then, Twitter was going crazy with everybody getting canceled. They were just going down the line.
Because when you said something, I went and I saw the Proxy guy tweet, and then I just started seeing everybody that we follow on Twitter, which is like 14 people, but just every comment was just like underneath them was just like, gone, didn't get mine, what the heck's going on, what the fuck. Like it was just so many people, and I was like, they're canceling over 40,000 people's orders that confirmed. I was like, they have a shit show. Yeah, this is worse than either of them. So, like Mythic Edition 1 or 2.
So here's the thing that I've figured. Okay, before I get into this spot, they canceled me by 9 o'clock that night, and then Tyson, his got canceled, but he didn't realize it went to his junk, so he didn't realize it. He's like, "Hey, bitches!"
Right to his junk.
He's like, "You want to buy mine for $600?" I'm like, "You're a fucking asshole." Then,
I also should have snapped by that, bought that.
But then the next day, he's like, "Oh, it went to my junk. I didn't see that it was canceled." So, anyways. So as they're, what was it? Oh fuck! Now I completely forgot what I was gonna say there.
It was gonna be super entertaining. It was
gonna be awesome.
I don't know.
Damn it! All right. Well, anyways, it just the way they handled that whole thing was just everything from start to finish was.
And I think the
horrible.
eBay store for Hasbro shutting down just messed everything up, and I don't think they I don't think they realize what their economy does. I
know what I was going to say.
They did this with the first Modern Masters. Was crazy popular, and they just printed like nothing of it. It was really hard to find. And then the second one, not as good as the first Modern Master, and they printed way more of it. And so they what they tend to do is remember the first Commander sets? They were crazy in value, really, really well done, and they were pretty hard to find. And then the second one, they just flooded the market. And those weren't bad. Not saying they were bad or anything, but there
was a lot more.
They they're like, how popular is this going to be? We're not going to put too much into this. And so we're going to make it popular. Like Battle Bond had a ton of good cards. They're not doing a Battle Bond this year.
No.
Maybe next year, but who the fuck knows? And it'll be worse. It'll be worse than the original Battle Bond.
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
So you didn't get the opportunity you didn't get feedback, right? It never showed up. So to this day, if you go on your eBay and purchase history, does it show in your purchase history?
I did not check after the email that I got having it canceled.
So what they're also doing, because in Cindy's account, it doesn't show that it's purchased. It never ever was purchased. And actually, it wiped it from my records on Wells Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't even show that I ever, like,
Which is
the
really
reversal
weird.
or anything. Like no transaction
I can't believe
happened.
Wells Fargo allows that to, like, that was a legitimate
And that's not the first time that
transaction.
happened. When Mythic Edition 1 happened through a Hasbro site, they did the exact same thing. Because I remember seeing the reversal. I was like, what? I was like, that's stupid. And then I was kind of pissed. So I was like wanting to show proof, like contact Hasbro. Mm-hmm. And then I went onto my Wells Fargo and I was like, it's not even on there anymore. Like, it was there and I didn't take a picture of it then. I did this time. So I actually...
Because you had an idea that...
Yeah, because I was like,
happen.
this could happen if it's, but they wiped it from there. They actually have a pretty high, if you look at their ratings, and ratings matter with eBay. It's a little bit different than TCG. TCG, that does matter a little bit, but not as much as eBay does. They have a lot of good ratings. Think of 40,000 angry
Pissed
people
off
giving them
people.
bad ratings. They're wiping it so people can't actually give them ratings.
Oh, man.
I can give them a rating on my account because that one still, they gave me feedback, giving me a positive rating. I actually can give them a negative rating on theirs right now. And we'll see what their compensation is. But
So apparently they sent out a letter. I just saw it canceled. Your order's canceled. I was like, all right.
So supposedly they have two ways of what they're doing with it.
So kind of like the last time on the first Mythic Edition, they sent out the the box toppers for Ultimate Masters, and so this one they're stating that they're going to do something. They're going to do a compensation thing.
They're going to do one through eBay. eBay's supposedly going to give us a compensation, and Hasbro is going to give us a compensation. Or Wizards is going to give us.
And I would say keep your expectations low.
Yeah.
Don't expect a box topper of any type. Like
Modern Horizons.
Yeah, I mean,
but even still,
the
thing is I would be happy if what they did last time actually wasn't only the box topper. They contacted me and said, hey, if you want to buy a box, we'll let you buy a box. You're not going to be able to buy two. And so that's how I got my first almost did with a lisp. My first Mythic Edition.
You have to talk like that the rest of the podcast.
Did I pull that block? But that's how I got the first Mythic Edition. Is I was able to buy it, and I was like, yeah, this is worth $250 to buy the Mythic Edition. Mm-hmm. So many levels. I hope that they do that, but there's 40,000 people that they're going to go do that to. And if they said they only printed 12,000, that's not going to happen. Like, sure. I'll be dumbfounded if that does happen, because then that means that they printed a lot more than they said that they actually did.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the other thing, like, and I've seen the comments, is just kind of like, they could print more. Mm-hmm. It would probably piss off the people that did get their 12,000 and they're like, well, I should be able to resell this for a ton of money. And then if they're able to resell that and then they're printing off more, that would lower the value on that and piss off people that bought it at like a
really high price.
Yeah.
Exactly. How they would need refunds, but then that's through eBay and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think it complicates things if you retroactively print off more copies at that point. Like, they did this to themselves.
Why did they announce that they were... Well, and
this was still going to be like sold out in... you said it last week. It's going to be sold out in 5 minutes. Even though you retracted it, it was still like...
Because I was like, that's a bold statement to say is 12,000 copies is sold in 5 minutes.
We don't like to be bold or controversial at all.
We want to stay right in the middle.
Yeah.
And swear and say dirty things. Yeah. That's what we do.
Just be semi-entertaining.
But Saffron Olive did tweet something that he actually got from somebody else, which I thought was a very interesting topic.
And I had actually said that to my wife, like, after I got canceled, is basically, Why don't you just give like a 24-hour period, let anybody and everybody do an order of 1 or 2 Mythic Editions, and then everybody should be happy. They make a ton of money. You know, keep the $250 price tag on it. You don't know how many are actually printed. You know, it would have been... I don't think it would have been 350,000 or anything, but...
That's roughly what they made. $3 million in 3 minutes of putting it up.
That's not bad.
Think
$1 million a minute.
Think of if they would have just allowed everybody to buy who wanted to buy it, and then print that at the same price.
Yeah,
$250. They would have been making 15, 20 million.
I think people wouldn't have been as
right.
Yeah, because they're like, well, more is going to be printed.
But if they did a time limit of 24
one.
hours, like you were saying, people are going to jump on right then and try to buy. I mean, you keep those same planeswalkers that are in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
you would have made a lot more money than $3 million.
It's just
Hasbro talking to them, not you.
Yeah, I was hoping to make that much. That was my plan.
Yeah, millions.
I did have big plans. That's why I also was super disappointed. I mean, I'm more. The most thing I'm disappointed about is I wanted to complete the Mythic Edition set because I have the first 2 and I want the third set for a reasonable price. I'm not going to pay $600 for these cards.
Plus.
Yeah, $600 plus.
You can't find it for $600
so
right now.
And I'm not going to do that. So, financially wise, we're a spec podcast as well. I'm not going to do something stupid like that where I'm going to drop that amount of money. I already own all those cards except for the new Nicol Bolas.
Yeah. So when you're like this, you need to balance everything out. Like we have all the cards that are there, but like if I would have gotten one, what I would have done was sold my other foils, like my Jace, my Sculptor, my Ugin.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to do.
One of those foils a piece and try to break even with the other box if I would have gotten a second.
Break even.
At least break even. But I mean, that's the goal. What you want to do was to at least break even.
If you bought one box, you're saying. But you were buying 2. You were the second box was going to make your money over both of them. But yes, I was going to do the exact same thing. And actually, that's what I did with Mythic Edition 1 and 2 is I sold off my non-foils of the cards because I did have Teferi already. And I had a lot of those cards. So I'm not going to go out and get that. I'm not going to complete the set unless something crazy happens, but I'm not fucking spending that much money on that. Yeah. And now the price is because
you can already make the argument that $250 for this is already a really expensive price tag. Mm-hmm. And then you take into your market accounts of Jace and Ugin, again, those are the money cards, like that's just the value there is crazy.
Yeah.
So
I would even say Nicol Bolas added in there is pretty crazy too.
Yeah, Nicol Bolas would be sweet. That was another one that I was hoping.
I know. I was excited.
I did get one in my box. If you watch the battle boxes.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that. Check out our video on YouTube for battle boxes. Lowry won one.
I won
one game, and he had a come from behind win. It was pretty crazy. Although we knew that was going to happen. We were within $2 of each other of our boxes, and then he got to open an extra pack. So. Yeah. We forgot to mention that. I completely forgot we had that go up this week. But Lowry got his first win, and I had to take a really nasty shot that clumped. And
it took me over a year to beat you in battle boxes.
That is funny. I had
That's not funny.
Warm mayonnaise mixed with the Jägermeister land in my throat in a big clump. It was pretty sweet.
It was very satisfying.
All right, let's get away from Mythic Edition because it just gets me depressed.
Was there any other way that you could think of that, like, how they could do a better job of this?
Well, I've heard other people talk about lottery system.
I don't like the lottery system.
I don't like that as much. I like that idea.
I like it better than what they're doing.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that I like it.
I think part of the hype was the fact that they announced the number that there was. Because think of if you go from Mythic Edition 2, where they didn't tell you, but then people are kind of guessing and like, 18,000 showed up, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
If you didn't know how many was there, how many people would be sitting... There would still be us diehards that are there buying it, but then you'd have people that are like... Oh, well, Mythic Edition 2 lasted 2-3 days before they pulled it.
To do it.
Exactly. So they drove the hype and they did this to themselves, pissed off how many people because of it by just saying there's 12. They don't even tell you how many they're printing when they do standard sets or Battle Bond, or
Yeah,
just
because they print unlimited until supply is met.
yeah, I guess yeah.
And so like,
But I mean, like Battle Bond, or like when was the last time you've heard them say this is the number
we're
that's
printing this
here?
much, yeah.
And they did it multiple times. Like even in their apology letter, in the eBay apology letter, says we made 12,000 copies. I guess this was a little more popular than we thought.
Yeah, I heard they made a joke about it.
It's like, what the fuck you?
Yeah, this is the worst apology ever.
It was really bad.
So that's why I don't read. It makes it easier. Did you
have another idea of how you would want to do it?
I saw another one like where people were mentioning like handed out to stores, but like
no, that wouldn't
like,
work.
From the Vault was already a shit show, like, and they at least got like 3 or 4 boxes per store. In this you'd only get like maybe one per store. Like the stores were getting just the shit show. It'd be just as bad.
They'd be like, thanks for having fights and people lined up.
They would make a ton of money off of it. They'd sit down and they'd be the ones selling it for $900 instead of people that got them on.
And that's the thing too, I guess they would be jacking the price up.
Yeah, they would do it, but then they become the bad guys though.
Yeah. One Twitter thing I did see that I liked was maybe they should allow like Ticketmaster to sell these so that we can all feel screwed.
That was a good joke. I did see that on Twitter somewhere.
That's awesome. Because that's how it is when you buy concert tickets anywhere. It's just like fucking bots.
Do you think bots bought this?
They could have. And I was saying that to Tyson before it started happening. I was talking to him, and because it was timing out, and that's where the first warning sign that this was about to happen. And he's like, man, I was like, there can't be that many people. I mean, we should be able to get this. And he's like, I don't know. I was like, they can't have bots on eBay. He's like, you can have this very easily done on eBay. And Tyson does a lot of coding stuff, so he kind of dabbles in that a little bit more. And he's like, yeah, this can be done very easily with bots. And it may have been because the only people that I know that got it are the fast finance guys. That are the only two that did you see anybody else that was like, hey, I got my box? Besides people selling them.
There were people underneath, like
saying
going, hey, I did get one, I got screwed. But like percentage wise, again, you're talking like 20% of the people that ordered got it, and you're going to have a ton of people pissed. And so you're going to have much more vocal people that are pissed versus people rubbing it in their face, or just, not saying you're a nobody, but if you got one and we don't know you,
hey, I'm a CommanderSmith.
Yeah, no, we would have been nobodies if we got it. And so like you don't have that presence, and so it's really hard to know. And it was worldwide, so you're not going to hear those people that around the world that got it. So, I mean, that'd be another interesting thing. Like, how many made it to like France?
Yeah,
like 1, 2. Like,
well, I got to do one more thing, and we should move on because we're 40 minutes into just talking about Mythic Edition. One thing that pissed me off is like when things were going down, people like when they were canceling orders. They were saying they're working back to figure out which orders were within that first 12,000 because they kept putting, 12,000.
And you and Tyson would have been in that first.
We were in that first, but then they completely erased that we were in that first 12,000. They made it so that it didn't show up in our purchase history. They made it so it doesn't show up, never showed up in PayPal, didn't show up in my Wells Fargo. It did show up in my Wells Fargo. I'd like to just show them that, but I'm like, it's more of a headache of me to do that.
Remember, we're nobodies, so they wouldn't care.
Well, there's a lot of people that were contacting eBay and all that, and they were actually getting responses and whatever. But I don't know if that's going to do anything.
Hasbro and Wizards has the reputation of just not giving a fuck about what the people that want to buy from them.
But if they're
take my money, and they're like, nah, like that's
screw you over first.
They do that, like.
But it's just if that's what they were doing was going to figure out the first 12,000. Well, then I would have been in that first 12,000. But instead, what they did is they erased that I was ever in that. They completely got rid of it, and it was in my bank account. I have fucking pictures that show timestamp everything, but then how do you erase it from my bank account?
That part is really weird. So all
right, let's move on.
Spotlight.
A spotlight deck.
Oketra.
Spotlight deck.
Eternal Oketra. Reading this one, it is a 3 colorless white, a zombie god, 3/6 double strike Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance.
Okay, so the idea of the deck: make zombie tokens.
Play creatures. I
Big
believe.
creatures, little creatures.
Well, I know you were saying that you would rather play little creatures. The problem that I was finding, if you only do little creatures, like you're basically, and we talked about this like in comparison to Karamitra, God of Harvest, the green-white god from Theros block, is if you hold on until you get Oketra out, you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or you could just like play your hand right afterward, and if somebody board wipes, you're done. And so like it's a very weird and awkward deck in my opinion. And again, white is Command Zone did their little podcast. They got a big podcast
Super
all over the
small
place, if you know what I
podcast.
mean. Yeah. But white's the worst. I mean, your draw is pretty poor, your ramp is pretty poor. And so what you can kind of do is, I don't know.
Did you play like, and we'll get to that here, but like Cathara's Crusade is in it because you're.
Now, see, I did have it in there, and then I was just like, God, this card pisses me off so bad. Like, because it's just so annoying to put 1/1 counters.
It's so
on.
perfect.
It's
for
really
this.
good. Yeah, no, I totally agree, but I did not put it on here. So this is something that you could add in. I've noticed, like, because I've been making a couple of decks, and I'm just like, anything that adds a ton of 1/1 counters to everything, I'm just like, that's so fucking
Yeah,
annoying.
because it's like,
And
I just cast 3 creatures. One counter, one counter, one
well,
counter.
it's one, then one counter. Yeah, it's annoying.
Should we make a Digi token for Cathara's Crusade?
If you can do the math on that one, it's got to be some type of calculus.
Yeah. All right, so what's our first package?
All right, so our first package is replaying creatures.
Am I going to hold the cards?
You can do them however you want. So essentially, this package, there's 5 or 6 of them.
Hey, Brightling.
Is you're playing this creature, and most of them are able to come back to your hand in some form or way, and then you're able to replay them.
So you're getting your 4/4s, multiple 4/4s by playing them multiple times.
Exactly. So Brightling is
Your main thing is it's a 3-drop for a 3/3, but you can give it Vigilance, Lifelink, but then you can tap 1 to return it.
pay
to
1
its
white,
hand.
return it to your hand. That is probably the most mana intensive one. All the other ones return
Just as they
by
do it.
themselves. So
So then you have Stone Cloaker, which comes into play as Flash Flying. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand. When it comes into play, remove target card in the graveyard from the game. So it also has a little bit of extra because it's removing.
yeah, so you're removing the graveyard, which is nice, but go through them.
Oh no! What? Go ahead with that one.
So like that is nice in this deck. That is your kind of like graveyard removal, and you're able to just like if somebody goes Snapcaster, you play it, remove whatever they target before they can flash it back. You just gain a bit of an advantage.
And you have a 4/4.
And you have a 4/4 with Oketra out.
Then you have White Mane Lion,
Which will save any creature because it has flash as well.
Core Skyfisher.
Which is actually any permanent that comes. You can when it comes into play, you can return any permanent. So you could like reset a land if you need to, or if you're playing with Oblivion Ring style enchantments. So like if you put Oblivion Ring on a token, that token's gone, but your enchantment's kind of dead. You can return that enchantment and then replay it to remove something else.
And then we have Emancipation Angel.
Which is just a bigger version of the core Skyfisher. Any permanent 3/3 for white colorless. So these are actually what I was finding. You really want to be able to find this, have at least one of these cards when Oketra is in play, because it gives you that extra like mana sink after being able to like forward the plan of what I'll talk about next. But
also, if you have one of these in play and then you play another one, you can bounce that one and then that one.
You can kind of juggle them back and forth. Yeah. The other thing that's kind of nice, like if you have like ETB triggers on enchantments, that'll help a ton. I ended up cutting some of them, and so I won't be talking about them. But there's one.
Well, it'd be weird if you talked about something you cut.
Well, but like Angelic Choir really made me want to keep it. It's a 5-mana enchantment. Whenever you have a creature come into play, you gain life to its toughness.
So you're gaining some life
you
off
could
of
gain
it.
a ton of life if Oketra's in play. But I was just like, I went heavier in a different route, which would be the next one of white is really well known for tapping and keeping things tapped. And so...
Oh, you're being a douche with tapping, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, one
it's not
of the cards we spec'd on, Lowry spec'd on a few weeks ago. Actually, it's been probably over a month now, but the Thalia Heretic Cathar, and that is creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control come into play tapped. Blind Obedience, which is a friggin' all-star for this, because that's another way you can gain life.
Keeps
and
creatures
deal
and
damage.
artifacts coming into play tapped for your opponents.
Or I should say not deal damage, it's lose a life.
Yeah.
Eldrazi Displacer, of
And
course.
that actually works both ways, because so Eldrazi Displacer, you can pay 3 and blink any creature on the battlefield comes into play tapped. And so if you have an ETB creature come into play, like on your side, you can gain that advantage. Or if they have a bigger guy that you can deal with, like bigger than your 4/4 Vigilance zombie tokens,
you
can tap
tapping
them
it.
out, and so they can't get through, essentially.
Citadel Siege.
Which will tap an opponent's creature before they're up their attack step, so you're just kind of doing their biggest creature each turn.
Mm-hmm. So you're keeping them tapped out. Would you ever use the token part?
Probably not. It depends on how, like, that's the other nice thing. Like, if I have a couple of tappers that are in play already, this gives me a different option that I can use.
Then you have, what is it? Sunstrike Legionnaire.
So this one is pretty cool. It's a 1/3.
I don't know this one.
You tap it, and you can tap a
1/2.
Or it's 1/2. But you can tap it to tap a creature with power 3 or less, or converted mana cost 3 or less.
Mana cost.
And then whenever a creature comes into play from anybody, you get to untap it. And so, like, if you're playing creatures, you know you're going to get 2 with Oketra. So you can tap in response and get a bunch of their littler creatures out of the way and get it attacked through.
Nice. Gold Metal Hair, which is just tap 1 and tap target creature. Same thing as Gideon's Lawkeeper. And then you have Subjugator Angel.
Now, this card is awesome. It's a flying angel for 6 mana. When it comes into play, tap all of your opponent's creatures.
Oh, that's kind of perfect.
Yeah,
and
and
it leaves
so
everybody open,
that
even not only
basically
for
gets you through.
your attacks, but then I think we talked about it last week too with the tapping, because I think I was talking about that with Ilhrog. But you're the next person you say go to, the other 2 people are
Then
still
they
tapped.
get to get through.
Yeah, so
And-
it's adds for an interesting dynamic.
and then
to
again,
it.
really works well with your Eldrazi Displacer, being able to do it if somebody looks like they're going to attack you. But you're always, even if you attack with your zombies, they have vigilance, and so you're not going to be worrying about that crackback either.
So you got blockers there. And then last one is Bond of Discipline.
This one taps all of your opponent's creatures and gives your creatures lifelink. And so this is actually one that we missed last week. We were going to talk about this.
For what?
For the uncommons, for the spoiler.
Oh,
Brand new
yeah, I
card.
didn't even realize it was from that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's really good, actually.
So
The only problem is it's 5, but in Commander, that's pretty good. I mean,
it's kind of like an
doable.
end game one. You want to be just like, you want to be trying to get through. You're going to gain a ton of life. And I wish there were more effects like that in white, or like if there was... There's a red enchantment whenever you have or cast like a creature spell, you get to tap another creature. I would love that in white. I just didn't find it. So if anybody knows that card, let me know.
Shoot us an email
Yeah.
or shoot us a tweet, or actually on the video would be better.
And so dickhead cards.
Dickard cards, Meekstone, which any creature with power 2 or greater made on untap as normal during their untap phase.
Greater than 2.
Yep, greater than 2, sorry. And then you have... Oh, I bought this card. I was being I don't remember what deck I had it in, but... Crackdown. It's an enchantment, 2 and a white, non-white creatures with... Oh, I think it was from my wall deck, and it got cut. It never made it in there. Non-white creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap during their controller's untap steps.
And so...
Dickhead.
it just allows you to keep those creatures down, and it makes like your gold metal Harrier like just a bit better. Like tapping down creatures during your turn or somebody else's just isn't really good. It's more like it's kind of similar to bouncing. Like it's good tempo play, but like in the long run of a game, you're not like doing removal or anything. So it's if you're able to keep them tapped, that is the important part.
Douchebaggery.
important
part douchebaggery, same thing. Lowry terms. All right, what's our next package?
The next little bit is just like straight removal
So
to a degree. Michikonda.
Thank you,
Secret
because
of
I was
Truth.
having trouble doing that first word there.
So if somebody's wanting to deal damage to you, this card makes them sacrifice a permanent that they control if that deals damage to you.
Skulking Leonin.
You
That's
get
a
to
secret person.
secretly choose a player, and then if they attack you, you get to reveal it, and then that exiles that creature that's attacking you. But also you can reset it with Displacer.
Dark Steel Mutation. You used this on my Eureka and didn't work out very well.
I misplayed it. I would agree, but this would work well on a bunch of different situations.
Other planeswalkers, or commanders,
other creatures. So this would work pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good card to have. And then Sunblast Angel. You actually had to cast that without any tap creatures. That
was awful. But with I have a much heavier tap theme in this deck now.
Oh, okay.
And so I definitely adjusted it more towards the tapping, and so this should help out. It's a one-sided board wipe, and especially with just like your vigilance creatures, that'll help a ton. And so this next bit is going to be the protection package.
Ooh, condoms. Dick sleeves. What?
Oh boy.
You gave me dick sleeves. All right, the first dick sleeve. Frontline Medic.
This one is if you attack with it and two other creatures, all of your attacking creatures get indestructible. And then random aside, you can... Nah, I don't even want to talk about that part.
Avacyn Angel of Hope. That gives
everything indestructible.
Mother of Ruins. Protection. It's in the protection package. Mm-hmm. She's just a straight up dick.
Yeah. No.
Rootborn Defenses.
So this will give all of your creatures indestructible, and it populates, so it creates another 4/4 vigilance.
Selfless Spirit.
You can sacrifice it to give everything indestructible.
And
it's a pretty important thing in my I said this last week with Ilharg, but it feels like almost a trap at this point, especially in white where you don't have a ton of draw. Like if you have to wait actual 3 turns for Oketra, it's a really long time. And then especially like the other thing is if you're forced to shuffle, that would suck. Like you just lose it. And so it feels a little bit like a trap, but it also feels like it's powerful. So it's I don't quite know where it's at right now, but it's still pretty important to protect your commander.
It's always good.
Points.
Dick sleeves.
Always good.
Dick sleeves and all. Right.
Next package is just going to be random assortments.
So you got Cloudstone Curio.
Yep. Now this is an artifact that whenever you play a non-artifact spell, you can return, or a permanent, you can return the similar or the same type of permanent back to your hand. And so when you're playing a creature, you can bring back another creature back to your hand and replay it. So that gives you that juggling effect of being
And it's a
able to go
Yume
back and
ability,
forth.
which is always nice.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it.
Then you have Aven Mind Sensor, which you used this when we were playing, just to
It's nice.
be a dick.
So it's
But it wasn't really that dicky, that game.
2-1. Well, it didn't allow Justin to go Court of Calling.
Oh, that's a good point.
But what this does is the other important thing is flash. It allows you to hold up, and so if somebody wraths, you're not wasting your board.
And I think that's what you were more trying to do, and then Justin tried to cast something later, and
and so you just want to be able to add that power
and
later
you got it
on.
in
So you
foil.
don't. Yeah, it's pretty. They're cheap.
Are they really?
Yeah.
They used to be really expensive
under
cards,
$2
weren't they?
for the foil? Yeah,
that's a
Future
reprint
Sight-
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Future Sight version was like $10 non-foil. But this one, the flash is important. 2-1. Opponents can't search libraries except for the top 4 cards,
Which is pretty crazy.
which is
Commander.
not really going to work for you.
Alms Collector.
This one doesn't allow your opponents to draw more than 1 card.
If they do, you get to draw it.
So it's in your draw package a little bit. I think this should go in every mono white deck.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this has flash, which helps a ton.
Spirit Bonds.
This is like another cast trigger. So whenever you cast a creature, you can pay 1 white, and then you get a 1/1 flying spirit. And then you're allowed to pay 2, sacrifice a spirit to give any creature you control indestructible. That part, that's the other important part is just giving your creatures indestructible, like Oketra. You don't want Oketra to leave. And so...
Yeah, I guess I was about to say, what about Oketra's Monument? But that...
It's actually in there, too.
Oh, it is? Okay.
We're not there yet.
We're not gonna... Are we going to talk about it, or...
Oh.
What, are you going to talk about everything? Jeez, Larry. No, I'm just kidding. But, I mean, that reminded me of that with the 1/1.
Yeah, and so... But this... Just being able to add creatures and protect if needed.
Anointed Procession you have to have in here because you're making tokens. You get to double that
your
up.
Tokens.
Vidalcan Ori, which is you may cast non-land creature or cards as though they had flash,
which is pretty important.
Yeah, being able to cast something that little thing, and all of a sudden you have a 4/4 when they thought that they were getting through.
And so I was finding that I wanted the effect of like Hedron Archive and Mind Stone in this deck.
Okay. So sacrifice to draw 2 cards? Well,
yeah, and then Mind Stone is sacrifice it to draw 1 card. That's
so
the
it's your
important
draw
part.
advantage?
And it also gives you your ramp when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you're in mono, like you just need help drawing cards. Another important card is going to be...
Weathered Wayfarer, which is being able to go, you tap 1... Search your library for a land card. Doesn't have to be a basic land as long as somebody has more land than you.
Yeah, so that allows you to always just kind of get a land out of that deck and thin it out.
One interesting card, and I think this is foreshadowing to something later. Endless Atlas.
Yeah, this card should probably be in every monocolored deck. It's 2 to come out, artifact, pay 2, tap it. If you have 3 lands of the same kind, which would be 3 plains or 3 islands or whatever, you get to draw a card. This is the cheapest version for like a monocolored to do that. Most of the time you're paying 3 or discarding a card in there. This is very mana efficient, and it feels like one of the best cards in the deck, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it feels like it just keeps you going because it's cheap, and you get to play your creatures still if you draw them.
Nice. Sword of Fire and Ice.
Just another draw effect that you need.
Pilgrim's
Eye. It goes really well with Oketra with the double strike as well.
Oh, yeah. Pilgrim's Eye is you get to search for land when it comes in.
Yep.
I like that you use the brand Mind's Eye that I made for Proxy.
It looks really sweet.
That does look really sweet.
Whenever an opponent draws a card, you can pay 1 to draw a card. I've ran out of like you were saying. Creatures.
You were talking about you didn't have this in there when we played that last time.
Yeah, and it just gets you there because I run out. I end up having like 2 or 3 cards, a couple mana open all the time. And this just helps you get deeper into the game.
Wall Omens, it's a wall, but you get to draw a card when you play it. So you
can also blink it with the Cloudstone Curio,
and if your guy's out, you get a 4/4 with it. So then Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, this one gives you a clue token that you can
also
draw
potentially drawing. And then we got Oketra's Monument and Pearl Medallion, which helps with the casting cost, but Monument. Every time you cast a creature, you get a 1/1 creature with it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, again, those 2 are probably they've been so good for me that I have debated in putting in Helm of Awakening that reduces all spells by a generic mana for everybody. And that always backfires on me, so that's why I don't do that. But like that's been so good that it just like I can those bouncing creatures. I can, reduce it by have it at 1 or 2. Just you're doing it repeatedly. And then the last little package here is.
Oh yeah, this one I like this card a lot. Yeah. What is Braid Steward of Argive? Bard. Bard. That's from Dominaria. He has Vigilance. He's a 2/4 legendary creature. Creatures can so it's basically like your. Ghostly Prison, but for 1. So creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless they pay 1 for each creature.
I don't think I have any planeswalkers in here.
So just you. And then Windborn Muse, that also stops them from attacking. Do you have Ghostly Prison then in here?
I do not.
Okay, so you're just using the creature form
the
that
creature
you get
form.
the bonus.
And like I brought that up last week, is like, do you put the enchantments in there, but you have 3 different creature forms of it?
So yeah, like, Archangel of Tithes, which does the same... As long as it's
1, And it also allows it makes it harder for them to block because they have to pay 1 if it's attacking for each creature they want to block with. And so you want to be creature heavy, but you want to make sure that you can protect your creatures because you're naturally going to overextend in this style of deck that doesn't have a ton of draw power. So like the artifacts are really important, being able to draw. So it feels like an awkward deck at this point. And it also...
What's your Day of Dragons?
Well, Oketra, being able to, that's the whole thing. Like if you're able to flash at the end of somebody, like right before your turn, and be able to make like 6 tokens, you should be winning the game right there, because you just put 24 points of power on board, and you should be able to do it over again. It just...
Have you thought of putting one of the new finales in there, the white one?
Well, it's not a creature, and so
yeah, but you can get it in there.
that's the other thing.
The
like,
thing
it just
of mana that you had that last game, you would have had it when we played that one, or the last time we played that.
Sure, because I had like 20 amount like a mana, but that's your mana sink is being able to play your creatures over and over and over.
Yeah,
and plus I don't want to add more tokens in there if I don't have to. Gotta be able to find them. And so I talked a couple of, I think maybe trap cards would be like Panharmonicon. So those creatures that come into play and they would return something, you'd have to return 2 things, because those aren't maze. And so if you have to return 2 creatures, sometimes that can be good, but I'd much rather sometimes it could be bad. Like sometimes you'd have to either return a token or like Oketra. It's like, well, that is dumb.
But if you didn't have the return thing, your Oketra, you're making 2 tokens then with it, right? Like you play a creature.
No, because that's not an ETB effect. It's a cast effect on Oketra.
Oh, it's not enter
so
the battlefield?
Like that's the other thing. Like it's cast effect for Oketra.
Oh, so it happened. Yeah, it is a cast.
And so the token will come in to be for your creature.
So even if you get countered, fucking counterspell people,
you still get a 4/4. Yeah. But like, so it's just kind of like doesn't really work and fit.
If it was an enter the battlefield, there'll be a different story there.
And then again, right in there, there's a card called Dust Elemental. When it comes into play, you return 3 creatures to your hand, and so that would essentially force you to, like, you want to bring back Dust Elemental and 2 other creatures, to whereas like you're almost like returning tokens at that point.
So that kind of hurts you more than...
And so it's just kind of like, that's not worth it. And the similar card is like Stormfront Riders, which will give you 1/1 tokens whenever you're bringing creatures back. But again, you need to bring 2 back, and it's 5 and 4 respectively, both of them. And you want to be able to do it multiple times, not just like 1.
Yeah.
And so that them being too expensive, along with
the
maybe
downfall,
bringing back more than you really want. And again, like they feel like they could be good, but I feel like they're trap cards at this point. Haven't been able to play with them.
Yeah.
But the deck,
but they're on your sideboard. You're testing.
Yeah,
that's what I do too. I have the cards that maybe might make it in,
because I
agree with Panharmonicon. If it doesn't fit with Oketra, like I don't even think that you should even have.
Yeah, and because before when we played last time, I had much more of a blinking style deck. Like I had, there's this card that whenever it attacks, you can blink any creature on the battlefield. Well, I was finding that I just didn't have enough creatures
to blink
for myself, and it's nice to do it against other players to allow you to get through or something. But at the same time, like I either needed to go like heavier into enter the battlefield and avoid tapping, or go deeper into tapping. Like I had split it at that point, and I felt like tapping was a lot more controlling, and it will stop Eureka from attacking.
You can never stop Eureka.
And so that was part of what it was just like trying to stop people from attacking. I don't know if it's just going to make me more annoying, where people are just going to attack me more.
Kill him.
Yeah,
Kill him.
That could be the case.
Slaughter on sight. Lowry. That's the card.
That would be awful.
That's our secret. All of us, we play. And it's Slaughter on sight. Lowry's playing the game. Kill him.
So I think it's a fun deck at this point. Like you can get a
really
lot of tokens out.
I really want to play against it now. You've done some of the tweaks with that.
But at the same time, like it might just be too slow. Because instead of like 1s and 2s, I'm more like 3s and 4s for creature cost. And so it feels like I might only be playing like 2 creatures a turn, putting 2 4/4s out, and there's probably just more powerful things to be going on at that point. But at the very least, this would be a solid Like if we're going out of like rating a 10, I think this would be like a solid 6 on power level. So
That's a good game to play then.
Yeah, so I don't
Sixes.
think I don't think you're going to get out of anything. Like you're not going to be out of the game totally because you're going to have
And
a
that
presence.
could end up like that. You could seem non-threatening, and that's actually one of the biggest things of
for most people, yes.
is winning the game is don't seem threatening in the beginning,
And so
or don't be named Adam or Lowry.
I think it'll be an interesting deck at the very least. It's still creature heavy, but I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Sweet. All right, so should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right.
Tell me how to sell stuff on eBay.
All right, Larry, here, take some notes.
I'll just re-listen to the podcast.
So yeah, well, let's get into how this kind of came about. So you came across a collection.
I had
from
buddy. That's he's moving out of the state, and he gave me his Magic cards. And so
I wish I had buddies that just were
yeah.
like, "Here's my Magic
This
collection."
is my second time I had
with what was in it again?
So the first time years ago, my buddy Matt moved down to Florida and gave me a couple boxes. A lot of cool cards in there.
Matt's one of our patrons.
Yeah, one of our patrons. Nothing. He gave me some cool cards, but nothing like I got from my buddy Eric's here. He just gave me a folder. He hasn't played since he was a kid, and I kind of went through it, and I was like, you have 2 Force of Wills in there? And like a lot of the cards are like in really rough condition, and these 2 are near mint.
Oh, they were near mint?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they were near mint.
Beautiful.
I was hoping when you showed me that, you told me everything was rough, and I was like, please have those fuckers in rough condition.
And so, I emailed my buddy that night,
like, hey.
and I was like, hey, you gave me 2 cards that are worth $100 a piece, like easy. I know he's leaving for like 3 months. He's going to be out of the country. And I was just like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, sell them and then we could split it. I would have never known that they were worth that either way. Because again, he hasn't played since he was a kid. He doesn't care about it. He just knows that I play Magic. And he's like, yeah, go ahead, play with, they're cool. And
play with your little kid cards.
Yeah.
Oh, but this is $100 and this is.
And so now
man.
what I'm going to probably do is sell one, give him the cash, and keep the Force of Will.
You can't get rid of it. You got to collect it.
Yeah.
Well,
so then I'm just like, it really kind of forces me to get in there and actually sell, or I'm going to give him $100 of my own money and have 5 Force of Wills instead of just 4.
Which that doesn't make sense to do. You should. And the thing is I keep texting you because the Vilestone amulets that Lowry spec'd on month or so ago, I picked up a crap ton of them. I picked up 16. I know I already mentioned that, but I probably picked them up for $3, between $3 and $3.50, and I've been selling them for $18 a piece, and
doing really well with it.
And
I'm sitting on I bought 4 foil, and I have 6 non-foil, and I haven't done anything with it.
So, and the thing is then Larry was kind of asking about it. I was like, well, let's do a segment on it. Because then I know we talked about it in the fall about shipping wise. I don't think I mentioned with eBay. I know I haven't gone into depth with eBay stuff. So there's some tips that I like to do. It doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. I just feel like it helps. Because a lot of times people will just look at the listing title and condition and what it is, and go from there and look at the person's ratings. That's kind of the things that I do, but a lot of times I'll look and see what their description of the card is. So I kind of put a list together. So the first thing you want to start with is your listing title, because that's 90% of what people are going to see and make their purchase is what your listing title is. So if it's either one card, you put one. I do
1X.
1X, but I do both. I cover my bases. I'll do 1X like right next to the one, and after the card's listed. So you do the title name. Let's say it's Smothering Tithe or something like that. Then after that, I do X space 1. So you're covering your bases that if somebody's doing a search for it, that they're
X1
or 1 space 1X. X, whatever.
Who does X1?
I don't know. But
like Star Wars people?
Well, no, I mean like if you have the one right next to the X with no space. So you do one with a space and one without a space. Same thing if you're doing 4 ofs. It's either a 4 or a 1 of. You do that at the beginning and the end. So that's kind of my...
You wouldn't do like 2 or 3 of?
I never do. I mean, I know what you do when you do the 2 or 3 is in your listing, your quantity down there is where you put it in. You go
Okay.
because there's a
So
spot
they can just buy individually.
they can buy
If they
more
want one
if
or
you have
two or
more
three.
than 3. Like sometimes you have 10 of them, which I never list. If I have like 15 copies or 20 or 100, I only list 8 at a time, because if you show that you have 100 of them, well, then the person's like, okay, well, I have time to buy this card at this price. If you have a limited quantity and
So
it
don't tell them you have 20,000 units. Tell them you have 12,000 units.
exactly.
Okay.
Hey, I like ideas. But so typically I only do 8 because I want it to be able, like if somebody wants to buy a play set, if I'm not selling them in 4s, like sometimes the 4 ofs are normally like my cheaper ones where I'm trying to
Like
save
a
on
$2
shipping.
card, and then you're
Selling
selling
for-
it for 8 or
yeah.
whatever. Okay.
So I'm trying to save on shipping by selling them in 4 ofs, but that's getting beside the point. But that's a key thing is don't show your whole collection. Don't go, oh yeah, hey, I have 56 of these. You know, people, they're not going to sell faster.
That you picked. Okay.
It wasn't an even number
It
actually.
was 56.
Yeah, that's an even number.
Sure.
You said it was an odd number. Got it?
All right. All right, Dad. All right.
So how my listings go? Quantity, 1 times whatever, name of the card. If it's a foil, put right after that capital letters foil, times 1, times 4, whatever you have after that. But foil after the name of the card. The
Right
name of the
after.
card doesn't have to have whatever. It has the title of the name. Then after that, I go with, if you're selling multiple copies of them, like if they range from light play to near mint or play to whatever, put that then after that. Light play, LP dash near mint. Have those in there because people are going to be searching for near mint specifically cards or light play in there. So you want to have what your actual condition of the card is.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you either put MTG. You have to have MTG in there somewhere because sometimes cards, the names of them are actually things that are for sale that aren't Magic. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Sure. Yeah.
like
Force of Will is a legitimate name of a game.
Yeah,
And so if you don't put MTG in there, like you'll just pull up the game.
You just get
cards.
wrapped
Yeah.
in with all that. So you MTG in there. Name of the set, of course, needs to be in there because there's different versions. And then another thing is especially with these ones where like the feather cards, mention that in the title. If you can fit all this, sometimes you can't fit it in. You have to work it like works with feather, or if you're able to get the whole name of that card, because a lot of times people are searching for feather cards, or they'll put in that commander and that'll pop in.
I would not have known that. Yeah.
That'll pop into their search and then be like, why is this here? Well, it's saying works with whatever feather. Like wall cards, I'll put that in the title. Say
Arcades.
great for arcades or great for walls. Like keywords, if there's a tribe in it, add that tribe in it. So if it's an elf
So
card,
don't put like decent for arcades.
Yeah.
Just, like make it a big good adjective.
So the key thing with the title is you want to hit all the things that people are going to search. Like if you're searching for a card, like that card or a card in particular, if you're
They're
building
trying
a
to think
deck,
of something.
you think of words that will trigger that will pop up in their search. I think that's, to be honest with you, the reason why Vilestone has sold so well is because I have works with feather. The Redeemer, is that redeemed?
Yeah, the redeemed.
It's in the name of the title. So people, when they're searching for feather, they're like, oh shit, why is this card popping with feather? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if that's actually what's happening, but that's one of my best selling cards. And I think it's because I have that listed there. It wasn't until this week that feather or Vilestone hopped up on the non-foil ones,
Yeah.
It's been out,
It was $1 or less than forever.
Yeah.
And now it's up to $7-ish.
And that
Non-foil.
And that could be a key thing, is like just having that keyword. Okay, so that's the title. Title, you just want to, that's your main thing. Now for the 10% of us, like me, that goes in when I'm picking a card out, I go and read their description of what their card is. Sometimes you'll have somebody that just says, this is the card, near mint, whatever. Like that's all that's in their description.
Really simple.
I don't necessarily like those necessarily. Like I want it to be more descriptive. I want them to have what it is and all that. So in my description, I repeat exactly what I just had in the title, pretty much saying the card, how many there are, if it's foil, what it is, what set. Then I start getting into my next sentence is, this is not a stock photo, because you're going against all the other stores, like Channel Fireball is in there, Abu
Star
Games
City
is in there,
Games,
Star City
Channel
Games, they're
Fireball.
all in there.
Card Kingdom. That's a word.
There we go.
That's
I don't even know if Card Kingdom has it on there. I think they just have their own. But
They're just on their site.
yeah,
Okay.
but Channel Fireball is on there. All those other ones are on there. They are using stock photos, so you aren't actually seeing what card you're buying. On mine, I like to say, this is the card you're buying in this picture. Look at the picture. This is whatever. I put in, like, you know, of course, the condition. You repeat everything, but in detail of what your title said. But the key thing is saying that that's not a stock photo, that you've actually taken the picture. Because
Okay.
that
Do you take the picture with them in like a sleeve, or
No.
do you do front back?
front back. Yep, I'll get to that in a second. So I'm
Okay.
just kind of going to go through the description
Sorry.
quick. Getting out of line, Lowry.
Yeah. No, we totally plan all this stuff.
But no, because the description is the next. Well, the picture is probably the second most important thing. So actually,
You gotta make it pretty.
Yeah.
You put makeup on it.
kinda, I do it in a way, not makeup, but so description, saying all that stuff. I always put never played by me. If it's you open the pack and
Yeah.
you put pack fresh opened by me directly into a sleeve. So that's what I did with Mythic Edition 2. All those were opened by me and they're in a sleeve. So you're telling the person, this hasn't gone through like I bought it from this person, whatever. It's near mint, and it's opened by me. And then again, reiterate if it works with a deck or a type of tribal deck. Say, works great with so-and-so general, like with Saprolands.
Listen to the CommanderSmiths.
Yeah, I
Right?
should
Do you do that?
Damn it! I'd probably get
You
flagged on
learned something
eBay.
from me. Bam.
Then you just tough guy sniff. But yeah, so you just put in there, works with Slimefoot, whatever, for Saproling cards and all that. Great commander, or like with the ninjas.
Eureka.
I said Eureka, you know, first time a ninja commander's been printed, blah 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 blah. You know, kind of you add something so that when they're reading it, like, oh shit, yeah, this is fucking awesome. All right,
Okay.
now we get into the picture. I highly suggest you get a background of something. I use a playmat of Unstable Lands, of course, because I love Unstable.
Well, and they're a
lands.
bit more simple too. I don't
Yeah.
think you would want something
Crazy.
that's really busy in the background.
You actually kind of want something either. I like using a light background so it makes your card pop, but I can also see the other way where your background is dark and making your card pop the other way.
Okay.
But a consistent background.
So it kind of depends on what almost color it is. So like a white card will
I
pop
always-
on a black.
I've always
background?
been using the Unstable Plains as my background. That
Okay.
It's like a
Yeah.
golden color. But what I do suggest is you get a handheld LED light that you click on and you can control where the shine is. Because then what you do is you take the picture, you're able to... What people want to see with the foils, they want to see them shining. So I always make the glimmer on the side of it. You don't want to get the light so it's blocking out, you know, where you white it out where you actually can't see the card. So you have to
Yeah.
position your LED light so that it's not causing a glare on the card, but you're actually able to see the line
And
shimmer
that makes a
on
ton
it.
of sense. Like, so I take pictures and put them on Twitter for the cards that I got in from trading, and I use the flash from my camera on my phone,
And it whites out.
And I always am all like whiting out a quarter of one of the cards, and so being able to get that angle, you're able to get the light and get
Yeah.
rid of your phone
And it's
flash.
seriously $7 at Walmart, and then that's what I've been using, and it helps so much. And it, not only for foils, it works lighting purpose wise for non-foils as
Yeah,
well.
that makes sense.
But with foils especially, because your stock photos you're going against are just showing like a stock photo of a glazed over. That's how they show that it's foil, is they make it glazed instead of, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
it's
that looks
really
awful.
weird. But for people really want to see how it shines. Like that's the point of the foil. What parts are shiny, whatever. So that's besides the title, that's the number 2 thing to go after, is have good pictures, good lighting and all that. You take,
Excited.
take a picture of the front and the back. If you have an expensive card with multiples of them, like for example, when we did the the dead Alliance land.
Oh, Lake of the Dead.
Lake of the Dead. When I had multiples of those, I'd sell those, like I was saying, in 8s. I took a picture front and back of all 8 cards I had for sale, and the first people that wanted to buy were telling me which number they wanted. They wanted photo number, blah, 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 blah. They actually picked out which ones they wanted because some of them had more damage than others.
So do you have like a sign in your photo, or
No.
do they just go, I want
that
this
one
picture?
normally that doesn't happen.
Okay.
That's a not very often scenario because that card was spiking at that time, and so and they had a little bit more. They were moderate play to light to played. So there were some that had more wear on the edges and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So certain people, there was only 2 people out of those 8 cards that I had up that wanted to pick them out. But that's why I'll do that there. But normally it's just take a picture. If they're light play, take a picture of the front and the back, and then that's the card I use until you get rid of the light plays. Like if your next batch is moderate play, after your light plays are sold, now you take a picture of moderate play ones. I don't like to sell moderate play. It's light play or near mint. So that's another.
Yeah, I mean, you're more likely to get complaints the more damaged it is.
And the thing is if it's moderately played and you're taking the picture and you're saying that it's not a stock photo, and then they're like, well, your photo shows a scuff on the right hand corner, but actually the card I got is like on the side of the corner, like then you get into territory where you're not being necessarily honest. Where if it's a light play to near mint, all those should pretty much look the same. It's so. All right, so that is pictures front and back, blah blah blah. I went through that. Now we just get into the shipping part. We kind of went over the shipping, so I'm not going to go over a crap ton with that. But one thing I did figure out is if you go to Walmart, this is going to save you money. I don't put tracking until the cart they sell something that's over $20. Other than that, use just
like
a stamp.
in a bubble mailer.
So here's the trick: go to Walmart and they have packs of 12, and I think they are 8 by what is it? So I cut it in half. I get the larger ones. I think they're 8 by like 9s or something like that.
Okay.
And you cut it in half. And then instead of having 12, you have 24 of them, and you spent only $5 instead of if you were going to go buy the right size that fits, which is normally like a 4 by
6.
Yeah, that pack of 10 is the same price as the pack of 12 for the bigger ones, or they might be $1 more.
So you like tape it?
Yep. So you use packaging tape because that's how I tape the label on. Because then you print the eBay. eBay gives you a discount if you buy from them. I normally put 4 ounces. I've never had anything returned to me. I say my package weighs 4 ounces. It's 4 by 7 by 0.5 inches wide. And then you put the card in, and I'll go over that in a second with how we package them. But you put it in there, and your label goes on top, and you taping the label to the package, you wrap around the corners so that it tapes it all together as one. You get
Isn't there any like scanning bars? So you got to make sure that's on like one side or the other, right? Or is there no scanning bars on that?
There's a scanning, like that label that you're putting on it, the eBay label has the little scanner on it.
Okay, yeah.
So you're just taping over the top of it.
Oh, okay.
So you're using
You're
packaging tape, not
that,
clear packaging tape. But you're making sure that you're going over the corner. So you're at the same time you're putting that on your mailer. You're also enclosing your card inside the package, and then it protects it on all angles and everything.
Okay.
So that's if a card's over $20. If it's under $20, this is what we've talked about before.
Plain white envelope.
Yeah. Envelope, well, first off, you put the card in a penny sleeve.
You do penny sleeve? I just do like a normal sleeve, whatever I got.
Well, just a sleeve. Aren't they all called
like
penny
a plain sleeve? No, penny sleeves are the clear plastic that are kind of loose. They're $100 for $1. So they're literally a penny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's the hard plastic ones.
No. Those are just hard cases.
Okay.
Penny sleeve is just like a clear plastic one that you can put like 8 cards into. They're loose.
Yes, penny sleeve.
So, yeah, but... Oh, okay. So normally I do a playing sleeve.
Okay.
That I got randomly through buying or trading.
So, yeah, mine is all from buying and trading. The plain sleeve ones, those are different. Like if I have a card that's over $10, I'll put it in the plain sleeve and then flip that upside down and put it in a penny sleeve and then slide that into the hard plastic sleeve.
Okay.
Just to protect the card or hard case. Just to protect that a little bit more. But any a normal sale, I'll put it in a penny sleeve, put it upside down in the hard case.
Yeah, make it harder.
Make sure it's upside down, because if you have it right side up, and I know we've gone over this before, but there's more listeners.
If any water gets there, it's harder to get to it. Or
well, not only that, your tape. So I always tape the plastic case closed over the top, and if you have tape over that and your card hits that, it's going to ruin the card.
Also true, yeah.
So that's why you always put it upside down. And then if you really wanted to, if you can't put it upside down, I know Tyson was asking about this today, sometimes those cases can be really fucking tight.
Yeah, they're tight. They can be. Anything over 2.
Yeah.
So if like you're 3 or 4 trying to fit it into one hard case,
you'll just be pushing the cards in, and your penny sleeve isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So put it the regular way, take another penny sleeve, go over the top of the plastic case, over the opening, and then tape that on each side, and then that solves your problem there. Now, one last thing, really expensive cards, I'll put in, I don't know what you call those, the sealable plastic things? What are those called?
Oh, I don't know what they're called either.
It's like
they're like a bag.
Yeah, it's like what your perfect fit sleeves come in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been
pretty similar. Yeah.
But really expensive cards, I'll put those. So anything over $15-$20, I'll put those in that. And then my added thing, which you don't need to do this, I've seen other people say it, but this is just my paranoia with what I've had with the mailing and everything, is I'll fold a recyclable piece of paper, like a scratch piece of paper that I have, because I keep reused paper. I'll fold it around that in another little case. So, and then I tape it to the inside of the envelope and tape the envelope shut.
Since we talked about this last, for trading, I have stopped wrapping it in paper, and I just tape it to the backside of the envelope.
And I think that's all you really need to do, because then it holds it in there.
Yeah, it holds it there. You have the tape that's around the hard case that'll keep the card in there and not, get the card sticky or whatever. And so I've found I haven't had a problem. Okay,
so you can probably do both. I mean, you can definitely do both. Like my thought was that the edges of the plastic were getting caught, but I think I'm overly paranoid with it. And
I think that's fine to be paranoid as well. But it just takes more time.
But it is adding weight to where you could get kicked
also
back.
True.
So, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the shipping stuff. I don't think I had anything else on there. But that's just some suggestions of how to
start out on eBay selling. And
you just need ratings. Really, that's the biggest thing, because if you don't have any ratings, people get nervous to buy from you.
I guess so I've never sold. I bought stuff, so I have like 100.
Oh, that's good.
But like, is it different than
nope, it's the
sales?
Same.
It's just the same thing.
Same thing. They add them all together.
Okay. All right.
So somebody can look and be like, "Oh, he only buys. Why is he selling?" But no one's really going to do that.
Nope. Okay. They're not going to go deep.
No, they just want to see that you're,
active.
Yeah,
I haven't done
you're not
shit
like
on there for years.
This is your first. You're selling a $500 card and you'll have 1 rating, and that's suspicious.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it sounds like you're going to be a scam. That's kind of similar with like trading sites, like like something like CardSphere or PucaTrade. They don't do ratings or anything, because it's just based off of they get it, they say you get the points or the money or whatever. But if you're doing something like Deckbox, or where I have a bigger trade thing is like MTG Salvation.
Yeah.
I have over like 200 or 300 trades on there. And so like people can look at it and know that I'm a legitimate trader. I'm going to make sure everything works well.
Trader! Yeah. We all know you're a trader, Lowry.
Stop it. And so like you can, it's essentially the same thing. You can trade with confidence there.
Yeah.
And so same thing with eBay. If you have X amount, you're not a new setup.
The one thing that they have changed over the years when I first started eBay is, I don't think eBay, and I might be wrong, but it was kind of like buyer beware type of thing. But now it's more, if somebody sold you something and you never receive it, eBay will refund you the money, and then they will take it right out of their account, because they're normally connected. It's either through PayPal or that credit card. So it's more of a buyer thing than a seller thing. And like, it is for sellers too, but they have your back as a buyer now. Whereas when I first started, if they didn't send it to you and then you're like, "Hey, I never got it," they'd be like, "Well, if it was a fake account,
fuck you."
Yeah, you're totally fucking screwed. They wouldn't really do anything. Whereas now it's completely different. So
interesting.
All right, well, we are almost an hour and a half into this, so let's jump into our specs. nice. Did you have any other questions with that at all?
I think that answered a lot of it. Like it's more. My wife says that I'm a finisher, not a starter.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
I don't know about that. Well, I'm not a starter, so you got to get there first. And so,
honestly,
I just got to take that like leap and jump to actually do it. Now that somebody's counting on me to sell their card,
no, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, here I'm gonna say one more thing with it. This is where it gets easy. When make a template. So now it's easy for me to sell cards. I don't have to type all this stuff up because I have things that are for sale and I copy. And actually, they do have a thing. I haven't even tested it yet, but eBay does have a template thing where you can draw up a template. So all you have to do is go in there and plug in a certain thing for the like card name and whatever. Okay. And then it writes it up for you. Like now, I used to dread putting stuff on eBay that weren't cards, like just random stuff, because it's like, oh, I gotta put in the measurements of what this is or what the color and the height and and it just seems like a lot of work. Yeah. Whereas now with my templates, with my cards, I just copy, paste it, and then I just fill in, okay, instead of this card being that card, I put that in. And so it actually goes by in a minute or two. So that, the first ones are going to be tedious and annoying, but once you have one listing up there, you can just copy and paste from that. Okay. Just make sure to do what I didn't do recently was I put up, what's that vampire that kind of spiked with, it's the white black one with the life, remove a permanent one that kind of
Vana?
Yeah, I put that on there and I accidentally took a template from a foil and it was a non-foil.
Watch it.
Watch it a little So the guy was like, this said foil. It didn't say it in my listing, it said it in the details. So he read the details and it said foil next to it. And then he was like, this wasn't foil. I was like, oh dude, I'm sorry. I use a template when I'm doing this. And if you would have got this for that price, you would have been having to steal. And I was like, do you want to just send the card back? He's like, no, I looked up the card. This is about right. I'll take it. I gave him like $1 back just for being. Was nice of you. I was like, hey, thanks for pointing that, not whatever, and not being a douche. So anyways.
So just the tips selling on eBay, that is appreciated.
Oh, yeah, just the tips. All right, let's start with our first Smith Specs of the Week, guys. Ho, ho, ho. Miss Spec of the Week.
You know what? I decided that we should change the name of this segment as well.
To what?
A little bit more alliteration. So, Smith Specs of the Semana, which is week in Spanish, but it's more, SSS. That works, right? Smith Specs of the Week. Fuck. That didn't work.
All right, what's your first one?
It's gonna
Backshadowing.
Endless Atlas.
What is this card?
So this is going on TCG right now for right around $3. But it's if you have 3 or more of the same land, you get to tap 2, tap it, draw a card. Super cheap, super efficient. Really
only printed
be easy.
in Commander.
In Commander. So this is last year's Commander set as well. So I think this if you're running monocolored decks that aren't blue. This might even go in blue, I don't know, but this should be in just about every monocolored deck, in my opinion.
Guess who doesn't have it in their Ilrog?
You probably should, especially in red. But yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, this might have to go in there. I like it. I mean, it's what do you think? $10 card, a couple of years down the road.
I can easily see it getting there. This again. There's a lot of monocolored decks, and this should just kind of be in all of them.
Mm-hmm. I dig it. My first one is Minion Reflector, the foil version. I believe I talked about it in Ilhrog yesterday. Last week. One thing when I was going through, and that's the thing when we go through our decks and we're building these, that's when you kind of come across, you're like, oh shit, I didn't realize that this one was that cheap. Or you go, oh man, there really isn't that many copies left. And that was the thing I came across with this one. There's only a handful of copies on TCG for the foils, and you can pick the foils up around $2. Actually, when I had it was $2.50, so it's gone down just a little bit since I said it. The interesting thing about this card is it's an artifact, so it could technically go with any creature deck, and then it's whenever you play a non-token creature, you can tap 2 and make another copy, and it gets haste. You have to sacrifice it, whatever, but you're able to use that in any type of deck. And so I'm actually surprised it's not used more
Especially
than it is.
like this would go pretty sweet into like if you're using it in the same way. So Ilharg, you're putting this in play, working with your ETB effect, like anywhere where you're cheating a creature into play and have that extra 2 mana open. You could just
to get an extra benefit.
That copy goes sweet with like Warstorm Surge or something that deals more damage, or Pandemonium,
Plain
stuff like that.
2 Craterhoof Behemoths. I mean,
Again, Angelic Choir would double the amount of toughness that you have in Gain Life. Like this could be a lot of bonuses there.
I think its only drawback is that it's a 5-drop artifact.
I would agree.
But for $2 for this, and it was. I said it was underused, so it isn't used in a lot of EDH decks. But like I said, the inventory on this was super low, so I don't see this one. I don't think Ilhrog's the one that's going to make the spike. I was just saying over time, this is more of probably a hold on to for a year or two. I had it getting probably between 10 and 15 when it's all said and done, because we only have the one printing, and that's Shards of Alara, so it's been a while.
Been a while.
It's been a while. Name the song. Lionel Richie.
No.
Stain. There we go. All right, Larry, your next one. Another $2 card.
Sunscorch Regent.
Like this guy.
Foil, sitting at about $2. This is whenever an opponent plays a spell, you get to gain a life and put a 1/1 counter on a 4/3 flying dragon. This card is really good, and sitting at $2 for the foil, it's a really good price because the non-foils are sitting around like $1.50.
Yeah,
and so like it's not a 75-cent card, it's $1.50. And I feel like this card could easily get up to $4 or $5 because it's the only.
Did you check and see how much it's used in EDH Rec?
It's used quite a bit, I believe.
Do you know the number?
No, absolutely not.
Who cares?
It's been a while.
No, it's a good card though. That's why I'm curious because, I mean, it's whenever an opponent casts a spell, you're not only gaining life, but this is also getting huge.
Yeah. And so these style of cards, people tend to ignore until they're like, shit.
Oh, there's a 13
13
flying at me. And like even if they kill it or whatever, you're still gaining life with it too. You know, like it's a pretty ridiculous. It's casting a spell, which happens
quite a bit.
By the time it's normally your turn after you cast this card, it has about 6 counters on it or 5 counters.
It's huge. It can be really big, and it's only 5 mana, which is
and it's only $2 for a foil.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet. All right, my next one is Mindclaw Shaman. This is a card I talked about in Ilhrog, so another card that is dealing with Ilhrog because last week we talked about Mythic Edition. This is from M13. This is the one that when it comes into play, target opponent reveals their hand, and you can cast an instant or sorcery from that player's hand without paying its mana cost. I was talking about the foils on this, and when I had it was, they're about $350 right now. Again, this one had very low inventory. I could see this one jumping to 10 rather soon, 10 to 15 with this.
Only been printed once.
Yeah. Same boat that Minion Reflector, but the Minion Reflector can affect multiple decks. But this, I'm surprised that this one isn't used more. Well, it kind of has to fit the deck, though, because if you cast it once and you swing and miss, it sucks. But if you have a way of bringing it back, and that's the point of it.
Like a Panharmonicon where you can choose twice, or if you know somebody else's hand, you can play 2 from it.
And we all know Commander players, you're holding on to that Cyclonic Rift, or you're...
I mean, honestly, that forces them, like, you could... cast this, make them cast their
Cyclonic
Rift
comes
for 2,
back to your hand,
bounce your Shaman back to your hand, and then you know what they have in their hand, and they just wait.
I just think it's a card I didn't even know about until this deck, so I'm definitely going to probably play with it a little bit more if I play Red, which I don't play Red very often. But all right, your last one.
My last one's going to be Mutavault Grand Prix promo. This is a foil. This, I think it might be older than I'm thinking, but Mutavault is a huge card when it comes to any tribal decks, and being a Grand Prix foil can be, I think it's underpriced at $9 at this point. You have the core set foil that's sitting at about $15, and then the Morningtide one is sitting at $40. You have a Grand Prix, or like another promo that's like full art, amazing. That doesn't count at like $550.
Well, you have your non-foils at the same price as this foil is.
Yeah. So this Mutavault Grand Prix foil is sitting at the same price as non-foils. And so in my mind, this is already underpriced.
Yeah. My last one isn't really my last one anymore, so I'm just going to say it. Because I had these picked out when I made Ilhrog, and this card has already jumped already. But it's similar to the Minion Reflector, but it's Flame Shadow Conjuring, and so it does the same similar thing that Minion Reflector does. It's an enchantment for red. It's 1 red and 3 colorless. Instead of paying 2, you pay 1 red to make a token when you play a non-token creature. It does the same exact thing. I was saying at the time was $350. This had low inventory. It's now to $6. I'm not saying it's not a bad pickup. It's from Magic Origins, so we're 3 years, 4 years from that. So it's been a while. It's been a while. How do I get?
Why are you doing this?
It's been a while. So you could actually probably pick up the non-foils in this case, I guess, if I was to actually say to pick up something. But those have been on the rise. I mean, they've only gone up 50 cents.
I've seen it worked really well, too. So, in Dragon decks, so you have 1 mana left over, make a double of it.
Making doubles of some, when you're working hard in the game. I mean, you put this out early, turn 4, same with Minion Reflector. It's not doing anything that people are like, I got to kill that right away. It's the surprise of, all right, now I'm
being
playing
able to get a hasty whatever.
Yeah. So, all right. That should do it. We kind of got long there, so that's why we got away from really fast. Yeah. The bitching about Mythic Edition was
that
40 minutes.
We thank you for sticking around for that period of time.
All right. Well, you guys can follow us on Twitter
at CommanderSmiths.
Check us out at YouTube
at CommanderSmiths.
Email us
at CommanderSmiths.
And donate to our Patreon.
And we thank all of our patrons at this point.
Yeah, thank you guys a lot. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, the proxies are coming out
next week.
We'll have them ready. We just got to get them out in the mail. So get ready. They're coming.
All over the place.
I'm coming out.
Jesus.
Lionel Richie. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
God, Lionel Richie. God, I was like, Richie something.